Focus after 15 months of unending conflict. There may finally be a pause in violence between Israel and Hamas. Announcing a ceasefire deal, US President Joe Biden said that there would be multiple phases which would essentially strive to ensure that all remaining hostages within Hamas's control are released. The first phase dictates the withdrawal of Israeli troops from densely populated zones in Gaza. But importantly, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that the deal is not yet complete and that final details are still being worked on.
Good afternoon. It's a very good afternoon, because at long last I can announce a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas. For more than 15 months of conflict that began with Hezbollah's brutal massacre on October the 7th, more than 15 months of terror for the hostages, their families, the Israeli people, more than 15 months of suffering by the innocent people of Gaza. Fighting in Gaza will stop, and soon the hostages will return home to their families. The elements of this deal were what I laid out in detail this past May, which was embraced by countries around the world and endorsed overwhelmingly by the UN Security Council. The deal is structured in 3 phases. Phase 1 will last 6 weeks. It includes a full and complete ceasefire, a withdrawal of Israeli forces from all the populated areas of Gaza, and the release of a number of hostages held by Hamas, including women and elderly and the wounded. And I'm proud to say Americans will be part of that hostage release in Phase 1 as well. And the Vice President and I cannot wait to welcome them home.
Phase 2 of the ceasefire deal will reportedly be more difficult. Negotiations for this aspect will begin on day 16 of the ceasefire. The phase would include the release of all remaining living hostages, including male soldiers. Israeli forces would withdraw from Gaza, but Israel has said that it will not agree to a complete withdrawal until Hamas's military and political capabilities are eliminated. And Hamas says that it will not hand over the last hostages until Israel removes all troops. Phase 3 calls for the return of the bodies of remaining hostages and the start of a major reconstruction of Gaza, which is largely devastated and faces decades of rebuilding.
Here it is a very, very tough decision the Israeli cabinet will have to accept. But we have a commitment. We have a commitment for our brothers. We have a commitment for our sisters. We done our utmost and we brought home the majority of the hostages. But 98 of them are still there. But if we will postpone the decision, we don't know how many of them will survive. So we have to take a very tough decision and painful. Also painful for victims of terrorism in Israel. Painful for all the citizens of Israel. But the responsibility for these citizens who were kidnapped from their beds on these days, and the commitment of the government of Israel to bring them home, will direct us.
The death toll in Gaza has crossed 46,000. This ceasefire could potentially allow the remaining Palestinians to regroup and move to safer zones as well. Hostage release will purportedly begin on Sunday, according to US President-elect Donald Trump.
I welcome the announcement of a deal to secure a ceasefire and hostage release in Gaza.
And now let's also take